Hello, my name is Jasmine Chana, and I wrote about the rates of divorce and the effects on children in America. So, first off, let me talk about relationships. People get married for all different kinds of reasons. It can be for the fact that they want children, or that they don't want to be lonely anymore, or the fact that they want financial stability. A new concept to the world, but maybe so that we see often in the US, is that people choose to get married for love. And relationships have never been something that were concrete. You can marry someone and might not end up with them in your 90s. And so I wanted to write about the factors that contribute to why people are getting divorced in the US and the effects on children and these divorce, like children as adults, how their relationships are working out. And so in my first couple paragraphs, I wrote about the factors that, cause people to end up getting divorced. And in the 1970s, that's when divorce was getting very high. And in the 1970s, I found out that there was a rise in feminism and there was much more women in the workforce. Now we know that divorce is very costly. And if a woman is relying on her husband for everything, I don't think she could say, I want a divorce and then for them to pay him to pay for that divorce. So I think when a woman has established her money and is able to stand up for herself and know what she wants in that relationship, I think that's why there might have been a move in divorce. And another reason that I found out about is that it has to do with socioeconomic class. And I found out in an article written by Bradford Wilcox and Wendy Wang is that people in the lower class tend to get divorced more. And I thought, well, this makes sense because people that are struggling with money, that's just added stress. When people have more stress, you're going to argue more. So it makes sense why people would choose to get a divorce. Another reason that plays into people getting divorced is age that people get married. A lot of people that tend to get married at a young age tend to divorce faster. And I think that makes sense because of being a young person, I can't see myself getting married. And there's a lot that goes on just to carry on with a relationship. And everyone knows that relationships are hard. So the jumping into something and then trying to adapt with someone for so long, I can see why it wouldn't work out for many people. So in my next couple paragraphs, I talked about the effects of divorce on children. According to the 2009 American Committee Survey, about 48% of children are still living with their biological parents that are married. And we're already known that, it's a 50-50 shot with relationships, but for 48% to still be living with their parents, and the age was at 17, that is very staggering that there is less people that are still with their biological parents that are married at that moment. I think something that might have come to my mind about this is that, with divorce being so common and there's so many people that are going with it, why does it still hurt kids as much? And I tried to think about this, that, you learn what love is from seeing your parents. And I think when children lose that, something that's so locked, they lose that, and then they don't know what is right and what is wrong. And I think that truly, messes up their ideals of what their parents were. And so some effects that I found out were that, after divorce, a child may lose financial stability because majority of the time they're living more with one parent compared to another. And so off of one parent's salary, it's very hard. So it's hard for children to be going through divorce, and then on top of that, they are losing money and don't have as much to go towards, necessities and also leisure. Another thing that affects children from divorce is that children may struggle academically. It has been proven that children that have gone through divorce actually show lower GPAs compared to children that have not. And all of this makes perfect sense because these are children that are going through some very adult stuff that they shouldn't be. And so, another reason that it affects children is that a lot of children experience poor health through divorce. A finding that I found was that nuclear families tend to have are less likely to have kids that have ADD and ADHD compared to ones that are in any sort of type of different family, and that includes divorced families. In my last couple paragraphs, I talked about how children of divorce like become as adults with relationships. And children, when they're going through divorce, they need to heal. They need to be comforted by their parents, and they need to see a therapist or do whatever they do because they are experiencing this loss just as much as the parents were. And if this isn't taken care of and the child isn't able to heal, this is later seen in their relationships as adults. Veronica Johnson, and she's the author of Adult Children of Divorce and Education. She said that divorced children are more likely to be divorced as adults and to end relationships. And I can see this point crystal clear, is that this is what they've grown up on, and they've seen divorce from the two people that they thought was love. And so when you think about relationships, then how are you supposed to build from that? And so these people, they also are more likely to end the relationships because why they've grown up thinking, why bother? These relationships don't work out. And so in conclusion, divorce is very normal, and it is not right, but it is not right to also stay in a relationship where the child is going to see fighting, and it's just very hard. Many factors affect divorce. It could be age, it could be socioeconomic class, it can be many different factors. I think children grieve just as much as parents do for the loss of the relationship. It is very hard for children to understand this concept of divorce because I think we also learn from storybooks and learn fairy tales that relationships are supposed to work out. And me, myself, when I saw my parents as a child, I thought they're perfect. They're on a pedestal. And I also ended up having my parents get divorced as well. And I think with children that go through divorce, they need to cope because there's repercussions that end up as adults where they aren't able to manage with their relationships as well. And so I think all in all, divorce is very hard. And I think there are ways to break this bond as an adult, this divorce cycle. There are ways to not keep getting divorced or keep not working with relationships, but it all depends on that single person if they are willing to work past what their family cycle and what they've learned from this learned behavior from their parents. Thank you.